Jeremy, bringing us on to one of my favourite parts of the show, and this is a question that we ask all of our guests. Mr. Jeremy Gluck, do you have a ghost story?
Now, I considered making a metaphysical answer, but the great thing for you guys tonight is a special favor. I got a story about a ghost that actually involves the Barracuda.
Ooh.
19, oh Christ, I don't know, 84, when we were recording our last album before the big gap, before we reformed many years later. Like, we were Groovies obsessives, Robin and I. At that time, Chris Wilson from the Groovies had joined the band and had been with us about 3 years. That was just a whole trip. That's an interview in itself. He at 15 listening to Shake Some Action 20 times a day. And then 10 years later to be writing songs and performing with one of the Flaming Groovies.
Wow.
But anyway, the Groovies had recorded Shake Some Action at Rockfield in Wales, which only in the last year or two finally stopped trading. It was run by these wonderful legends called the Kingsley Brothers. We recorded part of Dropout at Rockfield, but we recorded our third album at Rockfield. So we were there, and at that time we had a nice French label, and they were giving us a nice line of finance. And we turned up, and there was like an old farmhouse that they used just like for the bands to stay in. So we got there, and I've always loved everything about the other side.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one was there, Charles or Kingsley, but he said to us, that one of the rooms is haunted. Who wants that one? I went, I do.
Oh, wow.
So I was at the top of the house, lovely old farmhouse, gorgeous. This is the true story. So I think it was the first night we were there, and I went up to bed. I didn't have any expectations. I thought, whatever. I woke up about 2 or 3 in the morning, I guess. And it was one of those things where you're awake, but you're not really awake. It was like an altered state. And it was this thing, because it was on my chest. It seemed to be on my chest, this enormous sort of mass of energy that had the shape of a dog or something, an animal. And I couldn't move. I was like pinned to the bed like this, And I was thinking, how can I get to the door? How can I get to the door? And try to get out the door. And this went on for about an hour. I was in this weird twilight state. But I think,
Jeez, an hour.
Yeah, I wasn't actually afraid. I was really fascinated by the whole thing. I'd always dreamed of encountering something like this. I've had all kinds of paranormal and weird experiences, but this was a good one. And I was lying on the bed, and and eventually, I can't remember how, but I finally managed to move and get to the door and open the door, and then it kind of subsided. But yeah, it was a very exciting first night at the old farmhouse. And I was like literally doing all this cliche stuff, like, looking under the bed and everything. And it was like, but sadly, it didn't happen after that. It was just the first night. But it was a very, very visceral kind of presence.